You're scared, you're anxious, depressed, you feel a failure. Even though I didn't do anything to cause it, I felt ashamed. I felt utterly helpless and hopeless and worthless.
The housing market is overheating. Greedy landlords, impoverished tenants, and very little government support has culminated in a system skewed against the renter. Emma is one of thousands of tenants that have faced eviction. She moved to her dream home after splitting with her ex-husband. One morning, her landlord decided she'd had enough of Emma and served her with an eviction notice.
I went into private rented accommodation after I split up from my husband, my ex-husband. I went from a house into a 2-bedroom flat and then to another house. Both of those places were inundated with drugs. So the last place that I went to, and that was the place that I was evicted from, was like my dream house. It was a lovely house and I worked really, really hard to get to that place. You know, it was in a quiet neighbourhood, safe for my son to play outside. And it was near his school, but my ex-landlady decided she wanted to move her friend in. So she just told her friend, I'll get rid of my tenant and you can move in. So that's how I came to be evicted, then homeless for 6 months and then being put here. It was a bit of a strange situation because I never met the landlord. She lived down in Southampton, but her father lived round the corner and he was the one that came round and fixed things if they needed fixing. I never had a phone conversation with her until this situation arose, and she was ringing me quite regularly and saying, you have to be out, you have to be out. This is causing me huge problems. And at the same time, the council's telling me, do not leave until you absolutely have to. The landlady took me to court, although it wasn't in person. They did it via post. I have no idea what she told the court in her paperwork, but I put my side of it and they judged against me, so I had to pay my court fees and hers as well. I wasn't working through ill health at the time, and I told my landlady I would find it difficult to find anywhere else to go. She told me that didn't matter to her, that I was making her friends homeless. I'd have to go into a homeless shelter with my boy. And the story I was told was that she was selling up. So I thought, oh, this is really bad for me, but okay. These things happen. If she needs to sell up, I'm not gonna, be annoyed with her. I'm just upset for our situation, but it wasn't a problem too much. Then it turned out that she'd lied about that and she wasn't selling. She was wanting her friends to move in. She told me that these people, she wanted me to show these people around the house because they were potential buyers. This is how I found out it was a lie. When they turned up, they went through the house asking me, was that rug mine or did it come with the house? What about the sofa? What about the furniture? And her teenage girls were running around the bedrooms upstairs saying, I'll have that room, you can have that room. And I'm thinking, this doesn't sound like a buying situation. It's almost like, and I asked the agents and they admitted it, that they weren't selling, that she wanted her friends to move in. You're scared, you're anxious, depressed, you feel a failure. Even though I didn't do anything to cause it, I felt ashamed. I would tell, whoever it was, if I was talking to them, the reason why we're being evicted, but just the word eviction has got a huge stigma to it, hasn't it? And it also caused me extra stress with his dad because, it's never been very good between us since we split up, but, it just gave him an extra sort of way to make me feel bad mentally, like I couldn't look after my son, that sort of thing. He tried to get me to give up custody of Luke, but I came to my senses at the last minute. Up until then, I'd been in work right out of college, was earning nearly £30,000 a year before I, had this period of ill health. Always been very independent, but I've never been in the situation where I felt utterly helpless and hopeless and worthless. It was completely out of my hands, and it's a horrible feeling, really horrible. If things were more stable, not only in the rented sector, but in general, it's not just the rented sector that needs reforming. Everything in the country needs reforming, doesn't it? It's all intertwined. I would be too scared of it happening again for me to go into the private rented sector again right now. It would need to be a lot more stable and, less fear of evictions for no good reason for me to go back to it. Although landlords like to say we're providing a vital service, but actually they're not. They are allowing you to pay to live in an object that they own, and that's how they look at it. They do not have it in their head, I can't do this, because that's their home. A flat costs less to rent from the council than a house costs to rent from the council, but those rents are still about half of what you would pay in the private rented sector. I don't know how it would work, but I think there should be controls, definitely. I don't think that people should be able to buy house after house after house to build a business out of it, because it's not looked at as someone's home.